Okay, are we ready to get started?
I think so.
Okay, I call to order the November 9th committee meeting, Ways and Means Committee meeting. Roll call, please.
Chairman Sims,
Here.
Alderman Gould,
Here.
Alderwoman Parker Tice,
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Here.
Great. All members are present.
Okay, item number 2 is approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes, removal, suggestions to the agenda? Seeing none. My only comment on that is we had some email discussion. Alderwoman O'Neill, you had some, I will strive my best to have us out of here and concluded at 6:30, but is there a topic in terms of the budget that you would like to take up first that maybe we could do, assuming that's feasible?
The only department I think left is administration. If we start with that, that's shorter, and the others might be a little more complex.
Bola, or is there a problem with doing that?
There isn't, and I'm going to be short.
Okay, great. All right, well then, I don't think that's a change to
No.
the agenda, just, but I bring it up now. Okay, so the agenda will be approved by acclamation. Item number 3, there is no item number 3. Item number 4, citizen announcements. Kelly, do we have anyone in the gallery that cares to make a comment? Okay, well, if someone joins or a comment is desired to be made, we will revisit that at the end of the meeting as well. Item number 5, report of committee chair and alderman. I have no report. Alderman Gould.
No report.
Alderwoman Parker Tice.
No report.
Alderwoman O'Neill. I'm taking the silence as not having a report.
All right,
Right.
no report.
Okay, thank you. Item 6, 6A, fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. Who is leading us off on
The
that?
mayor is online. I see that the mayor is online, and I think this is an opportunity to, other than the budget, to start with some really great news. So I will transfer it over to the mayor.
Great. Thanks, Bola. Alderwoman Sims, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, fantastic. Well, as you all know, but for those people who are listening might not know, last Tuesday, the Proposition 1 went to the residents, to the voters, and they passed it at, I think, about a 53 to maybe 47% approval rating. While that's not an overwhelming one, but it certainly was a significant victory, and it certainly shows, I think, the level of support that the residents have for this, and they understand the issues and what we're trying to address, both with the current pandemic and what this might mean for us in the future, as well as trying to protect the brick and mortar businesses. So I want to thank the board for their overall support, for number 1, putting it on the ballot, and then number 2, working as hard as you did to try and ensure that it would pass. You know, there's still a real question as to how much this is going to generate in new revenue for the city. We have estimates anywhere from 200 to under 400,000. I've also heard estimates that it could be substantially more than that. And I think Bola might address this later on, how we're going to handle that in the 2021 budget. Will there be a separate line item for that? But I'll let her deal with that. But, you know, the only thing I wanted to reach out to this committee and how to deal with those new funds, because again, this is going to be brand new revenue that we have not seen in the past. While some of it might make up some potentially lost sales tax revenue that we might see with online sales, I think primarily what we're going to see is hopefully just substantially new revenue, and then it begs the question, how are we going to use that? And because it seems like our revenue is sufficient right now to fund all of our programs, and because we just don't know what the amount is going to be in 21 and for the future on this tax, I would urge this committee, if you have a chance to address this, to maybe look at just adding whatever revenue comes in 21 on that fund, on that new line item, just to build up our reserves, our fund balances. You know, we were fortunate during this shutdown that we didn't really need to draw down on it, but we didn't know. And now there's talk by the county executive of possibly taking some further steps as soon as next week. And what that means, we don't know. And there's, with all the unforeseen results of this pandemic, I would urge this committee to, if you do need to address, and I think you probably are going to have to take a look at what you're going to do with that revenue for 21. I would urge you all to maybe take what I think is the most conservative approach, and that is just to put that into the fund balances. And worst case scenario, we're building that up, which is not a bad thing, because you know, it's some of the other municipalities have substantially more than we do, and it allows them to weather any drop in sales tax revenue. And because we're so heavily dependent upon that, I'm not sure we can ever have too much fund balance. I know we can, but we're not close to that point yet. So that was all I wanted to say at this meeting. But I appreciate everything that you all have done in the past, and I appreciate all this hard work that you're putting into with this budget. I really do think that is one of the most important jobs of the Board of Aldermen, is tackling this budget. I realize it takes a tremendous amount of time, and I do appreciate all four of you working as hard as you have on that. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Are there any questions as to that issue? Well, I had a question. If, assuming we, vet out and proceed with how the mayor suggested, would that come in the form of an amendment at this point, or will we take that up as it comes? It's not as if we don't need to change the document, the budget, as we sit here tonight. Is that correct?
Correct. So Karen is online, and we discussed this earlier. Karen, do you want to explain or share our preliminary thoughts?
Right. So the mayor is correct in that it would be a new line item in the general fund, just like the other sales tax. We can, in the final document, put what we think we may get in. I mean, because it will be eventually, we will start getting some next year. But as Bola and I discussed, or I gave her my opinion, in that there's too many unknowns in like how much we're going to get. It's a different, it's not like the businesses here in town, that type of a tax. So we are planning to contact all the businesses that we get out of the portal that are currently in the city limits. And as I was looking at it today, many of them have two addresses. One is their Brentwood address and one is all over the country. Probably more like a corporate office. Those businesses that have the two addresses will get two letters, one to the corporate, one here. Additionally, we are going to also add in that form letter a reminder about the economic development sales tax, because over the weekend Bola had encountered something, and we just want to send a reminder out to make sure that they all know, because at this point in time, the state will no longer do that for us. They will not contact the businesses. Some cities choose to just go ahead, get it implemented, get the ordinance to the state. They change their tax rate tables online, and they make the city makes the assumption that the businesses figure that out. That's fine, but we're going to take it a step further, and we will be sending out first-class letters to all these businesses and to both addresses that they have, to kind of be a little more proactive to make sure we try to capture as many of the businesses as we can, so that we can implement this January 1st, that they can start collecting January 1st. But at any rate, we can change it and just put that line item, but it will do exactly what the mayor said. It will just be as part of the fund balance, and possibly change that reserve figure a little bit, because we'll make it a little bit higher, but we would not change our expenditures right now. in order to spend any of that money. I just think it would be more prudent not to do that until we get a handle on how much we think we're going to be getting. So that's what we plan to do with that use tax.
Also, we sent out a notice this afternoon after talking to Mayor Dimmitt, where he has called for a special meeting on the board scheduled for Friday afternoon. And this is an ordinance levying a local use tax at the same rate as the local tax. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that this document is date stamped no later than Monday, the 16th, wherein we will provide it to the Missouri Department of Revenue so that this can truly become effective January 1.
That's correct. If it's not postmarked by Monday, it won't be effective 1/1 for this Department of Revenue.
So that's the update we have regarding the first item under 6A, use tax Prop 1.
Is there any action that you need from us at this time?
No.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any. Okay, so we will, I guess, move on to the, let's see. So what are we taking up next then?
Brentwood bound.
Okay. Craig, are you leading us?
Yes. How's it going? I'll share my screen, which is the electronic budget. Okay, so I'll be very brief because I don't have anything more to add besides what's already been published. So the Brentwood Bound 2021 budget is $31,899,964. Just as a quick reminder, this is the overall project that includes Deer Creek flood mitigation, Manchester Road improvements, and Deer Creek Greenway connector. So those are the three projects. We're using the same funding categories that we've talked about before and that I repeatedly go through as part of the Board of Aldermen meeting. And those are construction costs, soft costs, property acquisition, and contingency. And then this is how it all lays out. So the previous expenses and the 2020 and end of year projections are $41,041,940. And in 2021, that should be the biggest year for Brentwood Bound. And that's because it's the first year that all three projects will be in construction. So the construction costs are going to really ramp up next year because we'll be bidding out phase 2, Manchester Road improvements, and Deer Creek Greenway connector. And as we know, the phase 1's currently in construction right now. So next year is going to be a very busy side of the construction. Soft costs will slowly drop over the next couple of years. Property acquisitions will whittle away first quarter 21. That's because we're going to be closing on a lot of big properties end of 2020, which is really exciting. And then contingency, we've got some money being spent next year for contingency, just in case there's any unforeseen conditions that come up during construction, in case you all decide to buy some other properties or some unfunded projects are decided to be spent. So that's why that's there. And in 2022, the project slows down even more. We have the projects will be wrapping up in construction. Soft costs will be slowing down. Property acquisitions should be zero for the projects for the properties we currently know about. And then contingency also goes down with those other expenses. So the current grand total of the project is $85,580,679. And this lines up with the October 19th City Administrator report. This is what I call the Alderwoman Parker Tice spreadsheet because she put this together for us. So this shows all the different expenses and how we get to the $85 million. So that lines up with that. And then the next page was just 2020 anticipated key activities. So, you know, we're constantly talking about just various things that pop up at the various Board of Aldermen meetings. But when you look at 2020 overall, it was a big year, a lot of big accomplishments. We covered a lot of ground in property acquisitions. I think besides maybe a court case or a few easements, we're going to get everything wrapped up in 2020, which will really be in the next 4 weeks with some big property acquisitions. So that's really exciting because that's been a long journey, and it takes a lot of all of our time, including your time, because of the constant decisions that need to be made to keep the property acquisitions going. We executed the partnership with MSD, so that's a big deal. It really helped out Brentwood Bound financially, also in making sure that some big permits were approved. We anticipate executing the partnership with Gravers Greenway. We've gotten that agreement, and it's currently under legal review right now. So that should be coming to the board in the near future. So that's really exciting because that lines up funding in 2021 and 2022 once that's executed. The city issued a redevelopment RFP that's currently underway, and the city is also implementing a 501c3 for future private donations. So besides that, in construction, flood mitigation phase 1 started construction. So that was really exciting. We had a good bid day on that. We wrapped up some demo packages, Deer Creek Greenway connector. We've got design through 60% design. We're currently working on 95% design. And Manchester Road Improvements is also on the property acquisition track, along with finalizing design. So in 2021, as I already mentioned, that's going to be a big construction year. So we're going to have all projects in construction, which will be really exciting just to see everything underway. Brentwood Bound, we should select a developer next year, and we're going to continually work on grants and partnerships, as you guys have seen up to date. And then I skipped over to this sheet earlier, but the top part of the sheet shows the categories of funding. Again, this is a copy paste from the October 19th City Administrator update. So that shows that the current categories of funding to get to the current project budgets, $85,580,679. And then the category below, the additional funding sources, that is surplus funding that is not needed for the current Brentwood Bound scope. So we're going to just keep adding to that as time goes on, and then keep bringing potential projects to the board when the time is right or when certain grants pop up. So the project is really in a strong financial shape because even beyond this additional funding sources, there is a healthy contingency right now in the project. And that is it.
Thank you, Craig. Are there any questions? I'm not seeing any. All right, well, seeing no questions, I think we can move on to the next topic.
Thank you all.
That is
For all your
it.
help.
Thanks, Greg.
The next topic is administration, and I want to refer you all to pages 86, 88, and 91. I'm trying to get to those pages as soon as I can. You will notice, if you look at page 86, which is administration, you will notice some double-digit decreases in line item expenditures. And what really we try to do there is, in order to present a balanced budget without going into fund balance, administration, much like other departments, had to take cuts. I'm going to try and share this right now. Okay, can you all see this?
I can.
Okay, so this is administration. So we had to take cuts like other departments. And in those areas, you will see, for instance, 33%, 100%, 20%. The one item I really want to talk about is the salaries part-time, which is line item 6010. The reduction here was inadvertently taken. So I have asked Karen to restore that, and we are able to restore this funding level and still have an overall balanced budget citywide. It will make the number for administration go up by approximately 20 or 30,000. Other than that, we have benefits also going down. employee benefits, and that's because we have more of the staff in administration that have individual insurance coverage rather than family coverage. And it is my hope that when we are truly post-COVID, we will be able to restore these expenses back to the 2019 expenditure level. Also, page 88 is the community relations. I believe everyone will be happy to note that in the 2021 budget, we are still budgeting for Brentwood Days. We hope that with you know, vaccines being developed and everyone being able to have access to it, we will go back to business as normal. So we do have that budgeted under festival expense 6220. What this budget for community relations does not reflect, and we will be making changes in the final document also, is about $20,000, which will be allocated for the sustainability initiative that the city will be undertaking. And once the Sustainability Commission has been put in place, then they will begin deliberating, and I'm sure the aldermen will have input as to some of the projects, hopefully, that will come about as a result of that. The last item under administration is the municipal operating expenses. And here there are just very minor changes. Overall, you will see an increase of 0.89, you know, reducing for training, printing. I think those are the major ones other than equipment repair. Then we go to legislative, which is page 113. And also we are showing expenses. I'm going to get to that page real quick here. Okay, 113. If you look at salaries for Planning and Zoning Commission and Board of Adjustment, you'll see a reduction there. And what that reflects is the actual number of times they meet. They are paid per meetings. So we have reduced that in an attempt to reflect true expenses and also to help us balance the budget. So other than administration and legislative, that really concludes our budget presentation for the 2021 proposed budget. We'll take questions.
Alderwoman Tice, you are muted, just so you know.
Thank you. I have a question on page 91, line 6055, employee benefits. It appears that the current year through the end of July figure is 91,000, almost 92,000, but then the proposed for 2021 is back down to 85. So is there a reason it's so high year to date this year?
Well, you know, we have had a change in personnel. So I believe that would.
Alderwoman Tice, what was the page number you were talking about?
Page 91, and it's the top line, 65, employee benefits.
Right, I know, but I have to look at the.
This is my only question. I didn't email it ahead of time. I sort of didn't, I sort of in my mind didn't have any questions in this section and didn't email this question ahead of time. So I apologize for that.
While that question's being researched, I just wanted to make sure I understood correctly on page 88. Bola, are you saying that when the final book goes, I guess, is presented for approval to the Board of Aldermen, there'll be a line item for the sustainability committee for $20,000.
There'll be an increase in community relations, but
Okay.
I like what you just said though. So we might want to think about creating a specific line item that makes it very clear what it is for, you know, sustainability initiative work. And it's something that Karen and I can discuss further.
Okay.
Since we don't have the response to that, can we provide you with that response later?
Oh, please, yeah, please. I just want to make sure there's enough in the proposed 21 budget if that almost 92,000 is a more accurate number. So that's my only.
Thank you.
That's the
We'll
only reason
research
we're
that
asking.
and get back to you on that.
Yeah, I don't have a quick answer on that one because that's municipal operating. And sometimes when people retire, we take things in and out of that fund, that the municipal operating and charge it back to the departments because, you know, they get these lump sum things. So that could be the reason why that's less, you know, anticipated to be less, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would have to look.
Okay, well, thank you. My internet's unstable, so I haven't really heard much anyway. So the written response might be better.
We'll get you an answer.
Okay.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Thank you. 60, where's the number here? 6210. I had a small question. On page 112, part of the 11,000 is to fund a Focus St. Louis Choral Fellow, which is a great thing. I questioned why it was under legislative. Suddenly it went to something else and it was dropped completely. So are we getting a fellow? Which department would that person work with this year?
It's always been an administration. So the narrative is wrong under legislative. The numbers are truly budgeted in administration. So I know that the choral program is no longer under Focus St. Louis, and it's a program that continues in the St. Louis region. So hopefully it will be our goal to continue to partner and have a choral fellow continue in the future.
And that 11,000 would be enough.
It's not 11,000.
Mm-mm.
It's closer to maybe 2,000. No,
Yes,
it's not 11,000.
at the most. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure where I got the 11. Thank you.
Alderman Gould.
Yeah, and forgive me if there's probably a clear answer for this, but I have a mark on the equipment repairs line item, and I'm guessing I just had a question about what exactly that breaks down to, because as I was looking at it, in prior years, you know, it was what, 4,000, then 6,000, and then we had budgeted for 14,700, and then, you know, obviously this year's a little different, but and then it goes up to 12,007. So just curious on what the equipment repairs are.
Well, I believe that's where, well, first of all, equipment, if we don't replace it, it will need repairs. But I also believe, Bola, that's where Larry asked for some to be put in for certain items in the general fund regarding technology. If something breaks or whatever, that they can go to
That's right.
Micro
Citywide.
Center. Yes, citywide,
Right.
yes. So I believe that's where Larry, we
I
felt
think he
was the
was-
best place to put it, yes.
Yeah, I think he was talking about that in his IT report
Correct.
last time or so.
Right.
The IT one's hard to get a handle on because it's
Yes,
mixed everywhere.
believe me,
So
I know.
thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, am I correct in understanding that concludes our budget presentation, or are there other items to address?
That concludes our budget presentation.
Well, thank you everyone for all of your hard work and for taking the time to meet extra meetings. Certainly the hard work was apparent, and we are grateful to you for it. As far as a motion to approve. I know that we have questions that, I mean, should we hold that over to the meeting on the 12th, or?
No, let's take it tonight if you all have them.
Okay.
Chairman Sims,
Yes, you're not on the,
I'm Kelly.
okay.
Alderman Lockmiller has raised his hand, and I don't know if you want to take that at this time.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Alderman Lockmuller, I did not see you on the screen.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you now.
If you don't mind, I've got a question for Karen regarding the economic development tax.
Uh-huh.
I'm looking at page 203, Karen. And I mean, we're estimating that that's going to bring in 3.2 million. And then there's some interest. And then of course we've got our debt service that's an expense.
Yes.
That remainder, does that go into reserve?
Yes, it just goes in, stays in that fund as fund balance.
Fund 41?
Correct.
And it just accumulates until the board gets.
That's correct, until we're directed otherwise.
Okay, and then one more question on page 216, and you guys might have gone over this during the parks department, but I couldn't get back on. I'm looking at line where you go down to MSD, Brentwood Bound, intergovernmental.
Mhm.
Are those grant amounts?
Yes.
You want to take that, Bola?
Yes, they're grant amounts. Karen, Craig, and I met this afternoon specifically to talk about that, and Craig was going to present that as part of his presentation. But in working with Karen, we have identified specifically grant amounts from MSD for the different projects, and we track them here. And if there are other grants that we receive, Karen will create other line items so that we can kind of track those grants and how we spend them specifically.
Okay.
The auditors also asked that it be done that way so that it's easier for them to track and to know what to do with.
Okay. Great. That's all I had. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Alderman Lockmiller. Any last call for questions? Not seeing any. Okay, well, I suppose at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion by Alderwoman O'Neill and a second by Alderwoman Tice. Is there any discussion?
Bola, should that motion include sending it to the full board for their approval?
That's what they're doing, yeah.
What Karen said. I work on my delivery with these rules. So yeah, motion to approve it and to send it on to the big board. I'm appearing as though we're all discussed out, so we'll take a roll call.
Okay. Chairman Sims,
Yes.
Alderman Gould,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes.
4 yeas, 0 nays.
Great, thank you, everybody, and thanks for all. Again, I've said it before. I think it bears saying again that for all your hard work for attending these meetings. So it was much appreciated, and we have a budget to present in an organized fashion, which I like. Alderwoman O'Neill, did I see your hand?
Yes, we have on the calendar a meeting on Thursday. Do we need that meeting on Thursday?
Fortunately, yes. Yes.
Not about the budget, though.
Not about the budget. It was just timely that you all were so gracious in scheduling all these extra meetings. And since we have that on the books, I think it gives the Board of Aldermen an opportunity to start the discussion with the consultants. And Alderwoman Sims sent out an email earlier today asking that it would be great if we have the board ready, available to participate. The two consultants from Charlesworth Consulting and Higby Associates will be in attendance. Opportunity for you all to engage them and talk about the scope of work. Questions galore if you have them.
And I'll say in my email, just to repeat, to the extent we're able to get those over to the city ahead of time, I think that would help facilitate the discussion. But so to the extent that you're able to give that attention, both the committee and other members of the board, as per usual, we'll have questions from the committee, and then to the extent any other members of the board want to attend, I'll recognize them after, so we can set those consultants on their way. And that will be Thursday the 12th at 5:30. All right, so moving along. Item 7, there's no department reports. We have no item 8 on the consent agenda. We have no old business. We have no new business. Item 11, citizen comments. Are there any citizens in the gallery wishing to?
There are no citizens raising their hands.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on from that. At this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can that be done by acclamation? Or do we have to roll call that? Okay, everyone, we're adjourned. Again, we are adjourned. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sunny.
See you all on
Have a nice night.
Thursday.
Thursday.